Yo, what up, everybody? My name is TJ McClelland. I'm the broker of Fitness Realty. I'm bringing you back another Fitness Realty podcast episode. This one's going to be episode 106. Obviously, we are in the 4-step quick guide to buying your first rental property. I don't know why I keep saying quick, because everything I do on the podcast is not quick, so whatever. This is going to be the 4-step guide to buying your first rental property. Anyway, this is going to be step 2. So this one's going to be finding the perfect rental property for you. Obviously, in step 1, we did all you need about pre-approval. So hopefully you've gotten all of your ducks in a row or gotten all of your financial business all in one place so that you can understand, am I ready to take the step forward to buy a rental property, or am I ready as a person that's renting to buy a house hack and get ready to have rental income from that house? We're actually going to showcase both of those paths. So we're going to showcase if you're a VA borrower or a low down payment borrower like VA or FHA or even rural USDA loan. Any of those kind of fit this low down payment option where you have to just move into the home and then house hack and rent out a piece of that property. But we're also going to do the other side of that, which is just flat out buying the rental property right out the get-go. So either road has its ups and downs. It has its pros and cons. Both scenarios just have different variabilities that we're going to talk about. So let's do a deep dive into it. We're going to dive right into it. I have a bunch of scenarios lined up for you right now that we're going to punch into our calculator, and we're going to see if any of these rental properties have the actual volume to make it a worthwhile rental property. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So right now, the first one that I wanted to bring up is right in my neighborhood. So this one is going to be 1186 East Pilot Street. So it is a 3-bed, 3-bath. They want $420,000 for it right now in Saratoga Springs. These are really, really common in my neighborhood. These are like everywhere. Everybody loves these as a rental property. We just have to make sure that the numbers work, which in my opinion right now, just doing some back of the napkin math, this is not going to pencil out, but we're going to do it anyway. All right, so we're going to go over to our trusty calculator right now. First thing I want to bring your attention to, though, is this quote at the top. The best time to buy a house was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. Obviously, this market that we're in with the uncharted waters, this obviously might not be the best time to buy a house in a particular market. However, if you're looking to like get out of your mother's basement or something like that, this might still be a good time. I want all the credit to go to Frank Dippold. He is in New Jersey. Here's his phone number. He's the one who generated this rental property calculator. I love it, and it works really well, but I want all the credit to go to Frank. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bigger so that we can actually see it, but I wanted you guys to see all those other things first. All right, so property address, I would type that in up here, but we're going to skip that just for ease of time. Purchase price, obviously you guys saw $420,000. Right now, our down payment is going to be that low down payment fund. So either 3.5% for FHA or VA, we could do 0%. On this calculator, though, I can't put 0 in this down payment. Otherwise, the percentages get really wacky. So let's just assume we were going to do 1% if you were a VA borrower. You guys know in the back of your mind, if you are a VA borrower, you can buy a piece of property for 0% down. All right, that makes our loan amount $415,800. Our interest rate, let's say we get a 5.9 like that borrower that I had a few weeks ago. We're going to do a 30-year term fixed mortgage. Closing costs, we're not going to put any closing costs in here. Most likely, if you're working with a really good realtor or somebody from our team or me specifically, we will have some closing costs paid for on your behalf from the seller. All right, so let's say your principal payment's going to be about $421. Your interest payment's going to be about $2,000. Property taxes, this is a little high. Let's adjust these taxes. In this area, you're probably about $2,200 for that same house, maybe $2,400. Insurance is about 800 or 700 because we have insurance paid by for the HOA, or paid for the outside by the HOA. And then we're going to put in these monthly figures here in a second, but I want to make sure that the HOA payment is in here. So 105 is our current HOA payment. We're not going to have any mortgage insurance because we're going to use VA. Our management fee, if you were going to manage this property yourself, you're going to have zero cost in there. If you're going to use a management company, though, it's probably going to cost you anywhere between 8% and 12%. So let's just use a round number like a 10%. But first, we don't really know how much we're going to rent this for. So let's go over to Rentometer and type in our address, 1186 East Pilot Street. I'm a huge fan of Rentometer. We're going to use it a lot in this. If you want to, it's worth buying the Pro account if you're going to have a lot of rental properties or you're going to do a lot of rent calculations. If you're not going to buy a Pro account on Rentometer, totally reach out to me. I will give you some back end numbers. I will run it for you, no problem. All right, this is going to be 3-bed, more than 1.5 bathrooms. This is technically called a condo. These are townhouses, but I'm going to put house duplex just in this Rentometer so that we get rid of all the apartments that are really close by so that we're not comping for the same price as the apartments. All right, so we've now got our percentages of this rental property that this can comp from Rentometer. So we got the low end at about 2,041, and then we've got the average at 2,264, and then we've got the high end at about 2,487. So most likely we're going to probably be able to rent this for the average. Let's just call it 2,250 to make it really nice on the numbers. So we're going to go back to our rental property calculator. We're going to go down here to monthly rent. 2250. Let me just make sure that's right. Yep, 2250. So we go back to our rental property calculator. We've got our monthly rent in there. And now let's say we're going to do our management fee off of that, probably 10%. So that's probably 220 every month. Repairs and maintenance. I usually recommend putting away about 7% a month for repairs. I can't do that one off the fly on my head, so let's just make it around 150. Vacancy, we usually try to put away 5% for vacancies. Obviously, from turnover, from tenants moving out to the new tenants moving in, you are going to have some vacancy time. Rarely will you ever have anybody move out and then move in right after. And so you've got to build up some reserves so that you can handle that. And we usually use about 5%. So that's probably about $100. Capital expenditures are everything like roof, furnace, water heater, all the big stuff. I usually recommend about a 7% that you're putting away for that. So let's call that 150. So now you can see in this property right now with mortgage payment, insurance, your repairs, maintenance, management fee, vacancy, CapEx, and the HOA fee, we're pretty much $3,432 all in, which is really, really high compared to the $2,250 that we would be making in rent. That's where the discrepancy is coming right now. That's where that gap is so big. I mean, that's over $1,000 gap in terms of trying to get a rental property. So in this one particularly, if you were a VA borrower buying a home in this neighborhood to try to make it a rental property and move out of one in this neighborhood to make it a rental, it usually doesn't pan out in the numbers. And so this is why. So we have our monthly profit of negative $1,182, which is crazy. That is, nobody's going to say, yeah, I'm totally cool socking away $1,200 a month or losing $1,200 a month to get this rental property. So that'd be a yearly profit of negative $15,000. Your yield on your cash that you'd be putting into this is negative 337%. Your amortization over 1 year means that somebody's paying into that principal payment. You're making negative 200% on that money. And so you can see these numbers. These don't line up. Like nobody would come to you, or sorry, nobody in their right mind would ever submit to this as a rental property because the numbers just don't work. Even if you add in the depreciation and the appreciation of this, I mean, you're still only helping your net worth over the next 27 years by $800,000. And I know I went through this one really fast, but it's because the numbers are so bad that nobody would actually look at this as a rental property as a potential. So we're going to skip over this one and we're going to get to the next scenario. And then I'll do a deeper dive into what those numbers actually mean. All right, so let's get rid of Pilot Street. Obviously, that one's not good as a VA borrower or an FHA borrower. So let's move on to our property in Flora Avenue in Kansas City, Missouri. This one's going to probably be a lot better. I think that the terms are just going to be a lot easier and smoother. But this is a 3-bed, 3-bath home, 2,500 square feet for $350,000. This just gives you the crazy different aspects of the Utah market versus the Missouri, Kansas City market. Because obviously in Utah, a 3-bed, 3-bath townhouse was $420,000, and in Kansas City, you get a single family house with some property for $350,000, which is it's just crazy different. All right, so we're gonna go back over to our sweet rent-o-meter real quick. Let's punch in this address. So we've got 3601 North Flora Avenue in Kansas City, Missouri. Obviously, it's 3-bed, 3-bath. We're going to analyze this as a house. All right. So now in Kansas City, Missouri, you can see that the rental market is even easier for renters there because it's a lot less money. So we could probably rent this home for the low end, $1,300, the high end, $1,840, or sorry, the average, $1,840, and the high end at $2,319. So let's just use $1,840 for instance. Let's go over here. We're going to go back to our trusty calculator. Our purchase price is going to be about $350. We're going to use our VA scenario once again, 1% down. And I'm showcasing why we can actually do that with a VA loan. You would have to buy this home and move out of another home and turn that into a rental. And so I'm just kind of leapfrogging from different scenarios. And so hopefully those make sense. But if they don't make sense and you want a deep dive or you have a certain specific question, please write it in the comments down below and I'll take care of the question and help you out. All right, so our interest rate, same one, 5.9. We're going to leave that as is. Principal payment now is $351. Interest on that is going to be $1,703. Property taxes, we're just going to assume they're about the same. I don't know what they are, and it'll take longer to look up. So we're just going to leave everything the same on taxes and insurance so that you can kind of see like apples to apples how it kind of moves on this calculator. So management fee is probably going to be about $180, 10% of that $1,800. Repairs probably going to be a little bit lower, $125. Vacancy, we're going to make it a little lower as well. CapEx, $125. If you have to go back to the first scenario where I explained those, feel free to go back and pause or go back and review. Since this is a single family house, it doesn't have an HOA, or I didn't see one listed on there. Some single family homes have HOA payments, but this one didn't look like it did. Monthly rent, we're going to make that $1,850. Okay, so now you can see our scenario in this one is still bad. However, it's not as bad as the home in North Shore or in our area right now. So you can see right now the monthly profit is negative $951. In the last scenario, we had negative profit of $1,200 a month. In our yearly profit, we're negative $11,500. So once again, we're in a negative yield on our money by 300%. Nobody's going to take this deal in their right mind as a rental. It just doesn't work out. I'm going to change one number really fast just to see if this gets any better if we put more down payment money down. So let's assume we were going to do this as a traditional investment, which in a traditional investment, not a house hack, you need 25% down to make this payment or to make the minimum down payment so that the bank will actually finance this deal. all they really want is they want to know you have some skin in the game. So now I changed this to 25% down. This would be more of a traditional investment. So we would need $87,500 out of pocket to close on this deal. Our loan amount would be $262,500. Most likely our interest rate is going to be worse than 5.9 because on primary finances primary residences versus rental property investments, the interest rate is more because the rental property is a higher risk for the bank. We're going to leave it as 5.9 though, just so that we can make this easy on the math. So now our principal payment's a lot lower, our interest payment's a lot lower. We didn't change any taxes, didn't change the homeowner's insurance policy. We kept all of our numbers the same, and we still have a negative $450 a month investment. So once again, if I came to you and said, hey, I want you to invest in this property with me, you're going to lose $450 a month. Do you want to take the deal? Most people would say no. I'm going to show you the numbers really quick so we can do more of that deep dive like I was talking about into those numbers, where somebody might start saying, in the long term, this might work out for me, but in the short term, it definitely costs extra to get it. And this is where a lot of investors are kind of sitting because there aren't as many sweet, cushy deals as there used to be out in the market because people are becoming more educated, and the system is just becoming more inflated with people buying and selling property this way. And so this is one of those avenues. Like I said, I'm going to show you the deep dive why somebody might start saying, I might take that deal. Okay, so our yield, cash on cash, when I talk about that, the ROI or return on investment, that is the amount of money you're putting into this deal, that $87,500 in this scenario right now as a traditional investment. You're making negative 6% on that money. So obviously in inflationary terms, when we're losing like 30 or 40% on our money, that's a controversial statement because people might only look at the CPI data, which is a lot lower than that. But you and I both know that when we go to the grocery store, that feels heavier right now. Anyway, losing 6% beats losing 40% on inflationary money right now. So in my opinion, you're beating the system in that area. If you feel differently, though, and you can make a good argument against that, let me know in the comments down below because I'd love to talk to you about that. All right, amortization. This means your tenants are paying that principal payment. So when they make their rent payment, that money that you pay for your mortgage, some of that goes to principal. So you're paying down your loan and you're gaining more equity in there. And so we have a piece in this calculator so that you can see that one. And it's called amortization. So you're probably going to pay in the first year $3,000 off of that amortization or in the principal. So when we add that to the cash on cash ROI, now you're only losing negative 2.5% on your money, which is not that bad comparative to inflation like I talked about. This deal is getting better and better, which is where this is one of those gray areas where somebody might say, sure, that looks okay. All right, then the depreciation on this, so the tax savings you get against a property, taking straight line depreciation. We can't go into that about this video, so just look that up or go to one of our other videos where I do a deep dive about rental property numbers and we talk about depreciation. But this one in particular, we're going to take a $13,000 write-off against our income for this year, which is going to save us $3,200 in taxes. So the appreciation in year one, we're going to use a rough estimate, an average over the last 100 years of about 3.5% increase in home values across the nation. Obviously, markets are very cyclical, and so there's a lot of numbers that go into that. But as a nation, the average appreciation is 3.5%. So over the long haul of a 27-year plan, this would get you to a price of about $777,000, which is pretty sweet. So if you look at it for year one as a net worth increase, this is going to help your net worth go up $11,000 or about $12,000, which is pretty sweet. over the long haul, a 27-year plan, this is going to save you about $804,000, which is really amazing. We are going to go into a deep dive on step 3 or 4. I think it might be on the 4th step, where we actually talk about why this is such a long plan, or why a 27-year plan, and why that number is so funky. So stay tuned for step 4. All right. So in my opinion, this is a rental property that might work for some people, and for other people, it might not be enough cash on cash return on investment. But this isn't horrible, because this gives you a total ROI over the next 27 years of 919% on your money, which is pretty good. If I came to you and said, hey, I can give you 919% on your money if you give it to me and I grow that for 27 years, that would be pretty good. And that's why in this scenario of rental property, a lot of people start looking at these deals that are negative cash flow, but they get really good later on by year 27. So anyway, all right, we're going to go to the next scenario, because I'm hoping to find one where we have some positive numbers that really look juicy. All right, we're going to get rid of the Kansas City scenario. Let's move really quick to a Florida scenario. So this one gets even better, because this one has an even better price for a 3-bed, 1-bath property, single-family home in Plant City, Florida, which is just outside of Tampa, maybe 30 minutes or 40-minute drive. And as you guys know, in Utah, we are accepting 30 or 40-minute drives more frequently now, or 1-hour drives for commutes, like all the time. We're definitely on the verge of becoming the next Los Angeles in just pure traffic. So a 40-minute drive from Plant City to Florida or to Tampa might not be that bad. All right, so we're at a purchase price of $277,500. So let's go to our trusty old calculator, type in $277,500. And by the way, if you guys ever want a copy of this calculator, just let me know, and we'll probably leave a comment section, or leave it in the comments down below. But we'll probably have a link down there for you guys to just snap this. All right, let's type in on Rentometer so we can find out what we can rent this for. 311 West Dixie Street, Plant City. 3-bed, it's only a 1-bath, so let's change that. It is a single-family house, so let's hit analyze. All right, now our average is $1,783. So let's put that in our calculator. So like I said, scroll down, $1,783, and then we're going to keep everything in here based on that purchase price of $277,500. All right, so we've got our down payment. If you're a VA borrower, like I said, you'll be at 0%, but I can't put 0 in this calculator, so we're going to use 1%. So you'll know the numbers are good off of this off of this calculator, but they aren't exact to what you would have. I can always do a deep dive on that, but this calculator just works better if we don't put a 0 in there. All right, interest rate 5.9, just like always. Your new principal payment is going to be $278. That's the principal that's the payment that's paying off that loan amount, so that you can have it paid off by the end of 30 years. There's interest payments that are going into that, $1,350. Obviously, those change and fluctuate after you go through the 30 years, but this is just based off of the very first payment so that we can see a snapshot of it. Property taxes, they're a little higher in Florida, but I'm going to keep them the same. Like I said, it would just take longer to look up. That just gets into the weeds. Our management fee, let's keep it at about the same, $180. Repairs, same. Vacancy, same. CapEx, the same. So I'm basing this really close to the Missouri property so that you can see what that looks like. We're only renting this for $1,783, so that's not too terrible. Now you're seeing the monthly profit though. So negative $593. So this is another deal that's not even close. You're negative $256 on your money. So that's not good either. So as a VA borrower, this is not a great area to be, because you're going to be losing about $600 a month. However, let's go to the snapshot of total percentage ROI. This is where it becomes really interesting, where buyers might accept this, because as a VA borrower, you had very little money into this deal, like zero. You had 0% into this deal. So if I had to base a percentage off of zero, that would be infinite money. So that's why it doesn't work. But if we base it off of 1%, that like 2440 that it takes to close this house, or 2750 to close this house, then you're making a 21,000% interest or ROI, or return on investment, over the long haul of 27 years. That's why you can't say no to every deal, because the numbers might pan out. They just take a long time, which goes back to the initial, or it goes to one of those sayings that we have out there, that it is time in the market that beats timing the market every day of the week. But if you were a VA borrower, this isn't like the best deal anyways. There's a lot that come out where I would run more calculations that could potentially look better than this one. All right, let's change the number really quick to make it a traditional investment, 25% down, just so you can see how the numbers look. You're going to need about $70,000 to close this deal. Let's just quickly go over to the snapshot to see what just changed. So I'm going to go over to my snapshot numbers. So now we're at a 994% ROI over 27 years, which is pretty good. I have seen a lot better, of course, but 994% is pretty decent. All right, so our very last scenario is going to be a mother-in-law basement, a house hack in Utah. So the reason why I want to showcase this is because, in my opinion, a VA borrower or an FHA borrower has the best chances of actually getting a rental property, their first deal, their first house, their first piece of property they buy. And this is the scenario that really makes that happen. Okay, so I've pulled up a house that's actually live on the market right now. When you guys see this, probably won't be live, but this house is in Orem, 439 North, 250 East. They want $460 for it. It's been on the market 12 days. It's got a little note in here that it's back on the market. So it went under contract, then came back on the market. So I'm not sure what happened there. However, this would be a great opportunity for a borrower, especially in Utah, working with us, because I will negotiate hard to get some closing costs paid for on your behalf, or even potentially getting a better price. Let's just use 460 though, because that'll make it easy for the math. So we're going to go in here, punch in 460. We're going to go back to our 1% down. Like I said, VA borrower is going to be 0, but this calculator works better with 1. So now you're going to be a down payment. Oh, let's make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. Now your down payment is going to be $4,600. But like I said, VA, you're going to come in with 0%. So that's no problem. 5.9% interest rate. Looks good. Terms, going to be 30-year term. Your principal payment right now is going to be $462. Interest payment is going to be $22.39. So your all-in payment just for the house potentially is going to be $29.42. $3,000 home payment or a mortgage payment, that's pretty substantial. Most people would probably feel like they're house poor, paying almost $3,000 for a house. Obviously, everybody has their own purchasing power and their own ideas about money, but most of my buyers, they'd probably feel like $3,000 feels like house broke. But this is why it gets better. There's a mother-in-law basement, so we're going to go back over to the old trusty rent-o-meter so we can get our rents. First, I got to look up this address one more time. I'm just going to copy this. So 439 North, 250 East in Orem. Going to paste that right in. This one's a 2-bed mother-in-law basement. I think there's only one bathroom downstairs. It is a house, but it is just the basement for the tenants. We're going to analyze this thing. So right now in Orem, it looks like the average rent for the basement is, or for a 2-bedroom unit, is $1,307. Now, a lot of people, or a lot of those might have a small house, or in these comps, it might be determining it a little different. So I'm gonna actually put in all building types so we can see what a 2-bedroom unit's going for. That brought it down a little bit. So that's throwing in apartments. You want to make sure that you're comping it accurately with what might be out there. And most people that are looking for a 2-bed might really be okay with an apartment or a condo or a basement. So this just gives you all the raw data at your fingertips. So we now can we can put in the $1,295. So let's just call it $1,300 to make it easy. We're going to put in our $1,300 over here. And now we've got our management fee. You're most likely going to rent that and manage it yourself since you live upstairs. So I'm going to put $0 for a management fee. You're still going to have repairs and vacancy and CapEx. So we're going to still put some money away for that. But you can see in this all-in scenario, the total monthly payment is going to be $3,267. So $3,267, like I said, that's going to sound like house poor to a lot of people. All right. However, when we add in your monthly rent for the basement, $1,300, this monthly profit, the negative $1,967, that is actually the payment that you have to own that house. So really, it's a $2,000 payment, and most people are renting for $2,100, $2,200 anyway. And so this monthly payment for you as a VA borrower to own this home is amazing. Like, this is a sweet deal. The numbers look red on paper, but this is a sweet deal for a VA borrower to get their first rental. Beauty of this is in the future, renting out the top side and the bottom, that's going to be a beauty right there. Look at this, though. So over the year, your yearly profit is negative $23,600. That's kind of crazy. However, that's the payment, like I said, that you are paying to own this home. So if you had to think about it, let's say you pay $2,000 a month in rent, that's $24,000 a year. Whereas if you bought this house with a VA loan, you could be paying $23,600 and own the house. We're going to skip over the other numbers because they're just kind of wacky with all our negative percentages because you are a VA borrower moving into this house. And so as a VA borrower, this would be a great first rental. Obviously, if it works for you and your family, that'd be great. Reach out to me anytime. I'm going to change one number really quick. If you did this as a down payment or as a property that you were going to do as a strictly investment property, we're going to put it back to 25% down. So you need $115,000 to close this. We already know $1,300 for the basement, but I'm going to change this number up here so we can get what the top side would rent for. It's going to be $1,750. So really quick, what is $1,250 plus $1,750? $3,000. I probably could have done that in my head, but I'm on camera, so that doesn't work. So we go over to our trusty calculator again, put in 3,000. Oh, we got some green numbers finally. So this might make a good investment if you were 25% down. Management fees, we're probably going to be $250. So let's just make sure we put that in. Okay. This is the first time today that we've seen green numbers for monthly profit. So this is going to be a great scenario to go through. So obviously, if you were doing this as a strictly investment property, you have to put $115,000 down to close this. We've got our monthly rent at $3,000. So that $115,000 that you have to put in this deal, you are only making 1.4% on your money as the cash on cash ROI, which beats inflation all day, every day. However, it does not beat a high yield savings account right now because some of those are offering 5.5%. So if you didn't want to take the risk of a rental property because you thought it was scary, you might be safer putting your $115,000 or $115K into a high yield savings account because it does on paper have a higher cash on cash ROI. I'm going to talk about why I would never put my money in one of those savings account, and mostly because inflation is not good. But that's another story. Now, if we add in the amortization, paying down that mortgage, you are going to pay off $4,200 every year on that mortgage. So when we add that in, you're actually making 5.08% on your money, which is really close to the high yield savings account. Now, it doesn't really get close to like a 401k or a Roth IRA where people are quoting 10 and 12% annual returns. This 5% is a lot lower than that. But let me show you even more why I wouldn't do those investments versus this one. If we add in the depreciation, so you get to take a straight line depreciation against your taxes, a write-off line item of $17,000 against your taxes, which is going to save you $4,259. So if you put that into all the calculations, plus the amortization, because this property is going to go up in value, mostly just because we devalue the dollar every day, and so that's just how this works. But if we add in all of those factors, cash on cash ROI, your amortization, somebody paying down your principal, the tax savings, the appreciation of the property, this is a net worth increase in year one of $24,000. Now, show me any other asset out there that you can say, yep, my net worth went up $24,000 year one of this investment. There isn't one out there. And if it is, you're playing in the crypto market, which I also love. All right. If you add up the 27 years of $24,000, this is going to be an increase of $1.3 million in your net worth, conservatively or roughly, to help out you and your family having a net worth increase. Now, if we go over the numbers of our snapshot really fast, this is a return on investment over 27 years of 1,125%. So if I came to you today and I said, hand me $115,000, I would be returning to you 1,125% of that. Not bad. Show me something else that works that good, and that I'll be impressed. But there's nothing out there that works like this. Okay. Like I said in the beginning, this is not a quick guide apparently because I get long-winded, but if you stayed this long and you found value in this video, like, share, and subscribe down below. I would really appreciate. I would really appreciate you guys for that. I'm very grateful for everybody that watches our channel. Thank you so much. This has been an episode all about how to find the best rental property for you. And we actually found one with green cash flow numbers right here on this channel. So if you want more information about that, message me or call me direct. I will definitely show you how this works. I'll show you all the numbers, and we'll make sure that it works for you. All right. Stay tuned for step 3. This is going to be amazing. Thank you so much. My name is TJ McClellan, Broker Fitness Realty. This is the Fitness Realty Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.